2:05 in the morning, Gulf of Aden, where the Red Sea meets the Indian Ocean. A radar operator aboard a Somali pirate mothership just made the worst targeting decision in maritime criminal history. His screen showed what appeared to be a slow-moving commercial vessel, over 300 meters long, displacement suggesting a fully loaded tanker, moving at just 12 knots through the notorious piracy corridor. Perfect prey, worth potentially hundreds of millions in ransom. What he didn't see, what his degraded radar system completely failed to identify, was the Aegis combat system humming beneath that civilian-looking profile. What appeared to be a defenseless merchant vessel was actually USS Portland, a San Antonio-class amphibious transport dock disguised as a commercial ship in the most audacious anti-piracy trap operation ever conceived by the United States Navy. Within 3 minutes, a mothership deploying 5 high-speed skiffs materialized on thermal imaging, each carrying 8 to 10 armed men wielding RPG-7 launchers and PKM machine guns, racing toward what they believed was an unarmed tanker at 47 knots. Encrypted radio chatter confirmed their intent: board, seize, ransom. This wasn't opportunistic piracy. This was organized maritime terrorism, and they were about to learn what happens when you aim weapons at the United States military. Because the trap wasn't just set, it was about to spring with devastating precision. The pirate commander aboard the mothership, a 40-meter former fishing trawler refitted for long-range operations, studied his target through binoculars. The vessel ahead showed all the characteristics of a vulnerable merchant ship: slow speed, high freeboard, minimal maneuvering, no visible weapon systems. His intelligence network had reported a Liberian-flagged tanker transiting this route. The radar signature matched. The AIS transponder confirmed it. Every indicator screamed easy target. What he couldn't know was that USS Portland had been running this deception for 72 hours, specifically designed to attract exactly this kind of attention. Her genuine AIS beacon had been replaced with a spoofed signal broadcasting false identity. Her military radar systems were powered down, replaced with civilian navigation equipment. Even her visual profile had been altered. Temporary panels concealed weapon mounts, crew members wore civilian clothing on exposed decks, and her gray navy paint had been covered with rust-streaked panels mimicking a poorly maintained commercial vessel. But below deck, 220 U.S. Marines and sailors waited in full combat readiness. The ship's Combat Information Center tracked every movement of the approaching pirate vessels with systems so sophisticated they could count individual weapons aboard the skiffs. An HM-60S Seahawk helicopter sat on the flight deck with rotors folded, crew strapped in, ready for immediate launch. And in the vertical launch cells hidden beneath those fake deck panels, SM-2 missiles sat ready, though everyone aboard knew those would never be needed for targets this small and close. At 0208 hours, the pirate mothership transmitted final attack orders via encrypted radio, immediately intercepted and decoded by USS Portland's electronic warfare suite. The 5 skiffs accelerated to attack speed, fanning out in classic pincer formation. Each carried a crew of 9. 1 coxswain, 2 RPG-7 gunners, 4 riflemen with PKM machine guns and AK-47s, and 2 boarding specialists with grappling equipment. On Portland's bridge, Captain Sarah Mitchell watched the thermal display with cold, professional focus. All stations, this is actual. Pirates have committed to attack posture. Rules of engagement now in effect. Weapons hold until hostile fire or until they close inside 500 meters with clear hostile intent. The ship's executing officer responded immediately. All stations acknowledge weapons hold. Marine reaction force positioned. Helicopter crew standing by. Non-lethal systems ready. The first skiff close to within 1,000 meters. Through high-powered optics, the pirates were clearly visible. Young men, probably Somali, faces wrapped against sea spray, weapons held ready, adrenaline and anticipation evident in their movements. They believed they were minutes away from seizing a prize worth millions. At 800 meters, Portland's deception ended. All hands, this is the captain. Activate Warship profile, execute Operation Steel Trap. What happened next occurred in seconds, but would be replayed in piracy training centers for years to come. The temporary panels covering Portland's weapon systems dropped away simultaneously, revealing the true nature of the vessel. The 25mm Mark III Mod II autocannon swung into firing positions. The Room 116 rolling airframe missile launcher elevated, its distinctive profile now unmistakable. Navigation light switched from civilian white to military red. And most dramatically, massive LED spotlights, 12 million candle power each, blazed to life, illuminating the entire area like daylight. The effect on the pirates was instantaneous and catastrophic. The lead skiff operator, suddenly blinded by the intense light, veered sharply, nearly capsizing. The others scattered in confusion, their need attack formation disintegrating into chaos. From Portland's external speakers, a voice boomed across the water in Somali, Arabic, and English. "Attention, pirate vessels. You are targeting a United States Navy warship. You are ordered to stop engines immediately and surrender. This is your only warning." For perhaps 3 seconds, there was no response. The pirate crews aboard the skiffs seemed frozen, caught between disbelief and terror. Their weapons now aimed not at helpless civilians, but at a military vessel bristling with systems designed to destroy aerial threats, meaning skiffs at close range would be trivial targets. Then, one of the pirates made the fatal decision. An RPG-7 round launched from the lead skiff, the distinctive smoke trail arcing across the water toward Portland's superstructure. "Hostile fire," the tactical officer's voice cut through the CIC. "RPG launch confirmed." Captain Mitchell's response was instant. "All weapons free. Engage." The 25mm autocannon on Portland's forward mount opened fire with a sound like ripping canvas amplified 1,000 times. The mechanical-controlled targeting system locked onto the skiff that had fired the RPG with inhuman precision. 40 rounds per minute of high-explosive incendiary ammunition walked across the water, then stitched directly into the small boat. The fiberglass hull disintegrated. The first rounds punched through the boat's structure like it was paper. The high-explosive warheads detonated on impact, sending shrapnel through the interior. Within 2 seconds, the skiff was a smoking ruin, fuel from ruptured tanks spreading across the water in an iridescent slick. The RPG round itself never reached Portland. The ship's sophisticated soft-kill systems, infrared countermeasures and radar jamming, had activated automatically, confusing the unguided warhead. It impacted the water 70 meters from the hull, the explosion sending up a harmless geyser. The remaining 4 skiffs immediately attempted to flee, their operators finally understanding the magnitude of their mistake. But Portland had been designed for exactly this kind of close-range engagement. "Seahawk launch, immediate pursuit," Captain Mitchell ordered. Marines to boarding stations were taking prisoners. The HM-60S Seahawk's rotors were already spinning. Within 30 seconds, it lifted off Portland's deck, immediately banking toward the fleeing skiffs. The helicopter's GAU-21 50 caliber machine gun wasn't even needed. The door gunner simply leaned out and fired warning bursts into the water ahead of each skiff. Massive columns of water erupting from the heavy rounds. The message was unmistakable: stop or be destroyed. 3 skiffs immediately cut engines and raised hands. The 4th continued fleeing at maximum speed, heading back toward the mothership 2 nautical miles away. That was a mistake. Portland's second 25mm mount tracked the fleeing skiff with mechanical precision. A 3-round burst struck the water directly ahead of the boat, close enough that the explosions rocked the small craft violently. The operator finally surrendered, cutting power and raising his hands above his head. Meanwhile, 2 rigid-hull inflatable boats had launched from Portland's stern, each carrying a 12-man boarding team in full combat gear. They reached the surrendered skiffs within minutes, weapons trained, orders shouted in multiple languages. "Hands up, weapons down, do not move."
The pirates complied with the desperate speed of men who had just stared death in the face and somehow survived. Within 8 minutes of the initial engagement, 37 Somali pirates were face down on the deck of their own vessels, hands flex cuffed behind their backs, while Marines methodically searched and secured each boat. The weapons haul was significant: 4 RPG-7 launchers with 23 rockets, 6 PKM machine guns, 12 AK-47 rifles, and over 4,000 rounds of ammunition. More importantly, they recovered encrypted radios, GPS units with pre-programmed coordinates, and detailed notes on shipping schedules, intelligence gold for counter-piracy operations. But the operation wasn't over. The mothership, watching from 2 miles away, had seen everything. As the Seahawk turned its attention toward the larger vessel, the crew made the calculation that many pirates before them had made. They tried to run. "Mothership is attempting to flee," the tactical officer reported. "Course 185, speed increasing to 14 knots. Captain Mitchell checked the tactical display. The mothership was heading toward Somali territorial waters, about 45 nautical miles away. If it reached the 12-mile limit, international law became complicated. But in international waters, Portland had every legal right to intercept. "Launch both Seahawks, establish pursuit. I want that vessel stopped and boarded before it reaches territorial waters. Non-lethal engagement only unless directly fired upon." 2 helicopters now circled the fleeing mothership like aerial predators. The message transmitted was simple: stop your vessel and prepare to be boarded, or we will disable your engines. The pirate commander made one last desperate move. From the mothership's deck, 2 more RPG rounds launched toward the helicopters, wildly inaccurate but undeniably hostile fire. That changed everything. "Mothership has engaged our aircraft with RPGs," the tactical officer reported. requesting permission to disable target. Captain Mitchell didn't hesitate. Granted, disable propulsion only. We want prisoners, not casualties. The Seahawk's door gunner lined up his shot with practiced precision. The GAU 21.5 caliber machine gun had effective range over 2,000 meters. The mothership was barely 400 meters away. A sustained burst of armor-piercing rounds tore into the vessel's stern, specifically targeting the engine compartment just above the waterline. The effect was immediate. Black smoke poured from the shattered engine housing. The mothership's forward momentum died as propulsion failed completely. Within minutes, the vessel was dead in the water, crew members emerging on deck with hands raised in surrender. Portland moved alongside the crippled mothership, and Marines fast-roped from helicopters onto the deck in a textbook boarding operation. 22 additional pirates were taken into custody, including the operation's commander, a Somali national named Hassan Omar, who would later be identified as one of the FBI's most wanted piracy facilitators. By 0445 hours, with dawn breaking over the Gulf of Aden, MQ-9 Reaper drones were already circling over the Somali coast, 12 kilometers inland from Ale. Through infrared optics, they mapped the Jahia-9 logistics base in exquisite detail. 4 concrete warehouses, ammunition storage, a large fuel depot, and multiple high-speed boats moored at a concealed dock. The intelligence was forwarded directly to U.S. Central Command. Within hours, a decision was made at the highest levels. The Jahia-9 network had directly attacked U.S. military forces. That changed their status from criminal enterprise to enemy combatant organization. At 11:20 hours local time, AGM-114 Hellfire missiles launched from the orbiting Reapers. 4 precision strikes obliterated the logistics base in coordinated explosions. Secondary detonations from ammunition stores and fuel tanks created fireballs visible from the ocean. Battle damage assessment confirmed 87% target destruction. The Jahia-9 network's operational capacity was eliminated in under 5 minutes. By 800 hours, USS Portland had transferred all prisoners to the amphibious assault ship USS Boxer, where FBI and Naval Criminal Investigation Service teams began extensive interrogations. The captured pirates would face federal prosecution in the United States under international maritime law, a message to pirates everywhere that attacking American forces, even by mistake, carried consequences far beyond traditional law enforcement. Captain Mitchell stood on Portland's bridge as the sun set over the Gulf of Aden, watching the captured mothership under tow behind them. The operation had been risky. Deliberately using a U.S. Navy vessel as bait violated every instinct about force protection, but it had worked spectacularly. Her executive officer approached with the final casualty report. No injuries to our personnel, no damage to the ship beyond cosmetic, and 59 pirates who will never operate again. Mitchell nodded, but her expression remained serious. And how many more pirate networks are operating out there who just learned that civilian-looking vessels in this corridor might be Navy ships? Intelligence estimates at least 12 major networks still active, but after today, and especially after the strikes on the Jahia-9 base, they're going to think twice before attacking anything. That was the real victory, not the tactical engagement, impressive as it was, but the strategic message sent to every pirate network operating in the region. You cannot tell the difference between prey and predator anymore. Any vessel could be a trap. Any attack could be your last. Over the following weeks, piracy incidents in the Gulf of Aden dropped by 63%. Ships reported being approached by skiffs that came close enough to identify targets, then suddenly broke off and fled when crews appeared on deck in formation, fearing they might be military personnel in disguise. The operation became legendary within counter-piracy circles. Not because of the firepower involved, the U.S. Navy had always possessed overwhelming capability against pirate skiffs, but because it proved that creativity and deception could be more effective than pure military presence. Somali pirates had spent years learning to identify and avoid warships. They tracked naval deployments, monitored radio frequencies, and developed sophisticated intelligence networks.
But Portland's deception stripped away that advantage entirely. It forced pirates to confront an impossible calculus. If any ship could be a warship, then attacking any ship became an unacceptable risk. The 59 captured pirates faced decades in U.S. federal prison. The Jahia 9 network's leadership was eliminated or scattered. And most importantly, the precedent was established. The United States Navy could and would use deception, intelligence, and precision force to protect commercial shipping, even if it meant putting warships directly in harm's way. In his final report, the commander of Combined Task Force 151 wrote, "Operation Steel Trap demonstrates that modern counter-piracy requires more than presence. It requires making piracy itself too costly and too dangerous to contemplate. By turning the hunters into the hunted, we have achieved what years of conventional patrols could not, a fundamental shift in the risk calculation of maritime criminals." 59 pirates captured, 1 network destroyed, 0 shots fired at actual civilian vessels in the following month, and 1 crystal-clear message delivered across the lawless waters of the Gulf of Aden. Never assume you know what ship you're targeting, because the next slow-moving tanker you see might just be the last thing your pirate organization ever attacks.